right, what we're going to be doing is starting an entire series for beginners on Claude Design and really getting familiar with the interface for Claude Design and getting up to speed with it. Now, right off the bat, what I want to do, we're going to come up with a desktop for Claude Design. And a lot of people might be looking at this and thinking, okay, well, Claude Design should be up here or somewhere near co-work, code, what's going on, right? They look at this and it's a little bit confusing. For some reason, Anthropic decided to put it down here. Okay, I'm certain that they're going to change this, but really what's important here is you'll notice that there's this little paint kind of icon, and that's what you ultimately want to look for, and that's going to get you to Claude Design. Now, if we come over to the web page, same exact thing, right? There's a little nuance in here, but they've done it a lot better on the web page, I think, where they've put design with code and co-work, which is a nice touch. But regardless, you can still see that paint. One of the things I do want to point out is, right, we all know no site is going to remain exactly the same for very long. So don't always get used to trying to find something in a particular spot, right? Look for that icon. That little paint icon is ultimately what you want to look for, regardless of how the layout winds up changing. And we're going to talk a lot about this later on. But here, once again, we're in the desktop app. And what I want to bring your attention to is in the upper portion of the screen, you can see that Claude Design is actually in beta, which means this is going to change a lot and it's going to change fast. The principles remain the same, but again, there's going to be a lot of change that happens over the next probably 18 months. Just keep that in mind. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's the desktop app. Well, here's the web app, same thing. And once again, we have Claude Design in beta. Now, one thing I want to point out is if you'll notice the prototype, the slides, right, kind of in the middle of the screen, this kind of has this fanned out look and feel, right? When I'm recording these videos, they're pretty much one day right after the next. So you'll see something here in a minute, which kind of talks about this beta design. So here, what I want to talk about are our different template types. And we're right back here in the desktop app. And you'll notice that our templates are no longer fanned out. They're perfectly aligned. This happened within 24 hours. So I just want to bring that up because I want everybody to be familiar with the fact that this is going to be changing quite a bit for a little while. And that's fine, right? Anthropic's developing a new tool, a pretty cool one in my opinion. So it's going to change a lot and it's going to change rapidly, which actually is a good sign. Well, the first thing I want to talk about are our templates. And in particular, I want to talk about this prototype template. And you'll notice up here towards the area where we are ultimately going to put our prompt, we have a template as prototype as well, right? And that changes based off your selection of the prototype. Now, what is a prototype? It's a clickable UI mockup. And I wouldn't be surprised if they changed this to call it a UI mockup. But it's really gives you an opportunity to put something together where you can kind of click through it and get a feel for what you're putting together. So you can take that and give it to your developers in HTML, whatever it may be, and you can actually get something up and running pretty quickly from your Claude Design prototype. In addition to that, I want to make certain that everybody understands that this is more than a static image. When we talk about a prototype, like I said, it really is being able to click through a button, go to the next screen, whatever it may be. Now from here, I want to talk about slides. And once again, you'll notice our template changes from prototype to slides based off what we selected. Now this is a multi-slide deck, right? It's like a PowerPoint. And from that, you can navigate the individual slides just like you would a PowerPoint. And you know, when you think about a PowerPoint, there's a lot of sharing that happens. So you can put in comments, everything else. You can do the exact same thing here with Claude Design. And then you can ultimately export it to a PowerPoint or a PDF. Next, I want to talk about the document, right? And again, our template changes to document. But from a document's perspective, I want you to think more along the lines of layout with tables, whatever it may be, rather than necessarily trying to say, hey, can you go ahead and write this document for me from the text perspective? Think more about layout and template concepts when we're talking about documents within Claude Design. right? And so here, again, we're talking about our structure. What are the headers going to look like? What are the charts going to look like? And that's what we want to think about when we're designing a document. And from there, you can export your documents to Word doc or PDF. Next are wireframes. Now, wireframes really are kind of a prototype-ish, but more of a picture, and it's really not very colorful, if you will, right? It's just some square blocks. This thing goes here, this thing goes here, and you see the layout from a wireframe rather than a bunch of pretty pictures or pretty colors. So again, it's not that high fidelity option. Now, from there, what you can do is you can use wireframing for rapid prototyping. And rapid prototyping really is just an ability to get the message out like, hey, this is what the screen is going to look like, or the layout of the screen is going to look like when we're ultimately done. But it's not pretty, it's just kind of square blocks sort of thing. Now, when you're looking at that, you may be thinking, well, if it's just a wireframe, it's kind of a static picture, but it's not. You can also pass your wireframe off to your development crew, and then you can have them really design out the layout, right? Rather than worrying about the colors and the fonts, it just designs the layout, right? That's what the wireframe is really looking at. Now, from here, we're going to talk about animations. Now, animations really are a little bit kind of what you're looking at here. On this screen, I've got things kind of moving around and blinking. That's a little bit of animations, but you can do a lot more to it. And we'll see a lot of this later on in this video series where we actually put a couple of animations together, and you'll see a lot about what's going on there. Now, from an animations perspective, if you want to export it, you can do a screen capture with QuickTime or whichever screen capture software you use, or you can actually just export it via MPEG-4, or you can export it as a PDF. A lot of options for everybody here. Now, next thing I want to talk about down here, we've spoken about our templates, but here is our UI where we are actually going to see where our current projects are, right? And this is going to be all your projects, and you'll see a lot of this as the video series kind of progresses, where the histories of each one of your projects are. You'll see the entire conversations. You'll be able to pull stuff back up, right? Pretty self-explanatory. Now, next, we're talking about design systems. Now, within design systems, what you're really looking at is you'll have a prototype or template along with the design system. So if you say, hey, I've got these slides that I want to put together and a corresponding design system, the slides are going to come out with that design system in mind, right? It might be dark color, light color, red, yellow, orange, purple, whatever. Now, when we're talking about design systems, yes, you can definitely use the ones that are included, but from your company's perspective, you're probably going to want to design your own. And when you design your own, you can see down here that in Claude Design, we've got a couple of different options. I'm sure that Anthropic will square this away, but for now, just click on Setup Design System if you're going to set your own colorations, your own fonts, whatever it may be. Now think about the design systems, because once you have your brand saved, right, now you have your colors, your own company's fonts, things along those lines, and everything there can actually be created if someone gives you a code base. So let's say you already have a website and you want to use the same design, but you want to modernize it, but you might want to use the same fonts, for example. You can take that actual design and put it into a new design system, right? And it will pick everything up. Your designers can give you the code base for it, the HTML, CSS, whatever it may be, Figma files, which are kind of not dissimilar from a UI like this, or you can actually just upload files, right? It could be PDFs, or it could be images, whatever it may be. Next, I want to talk about the templates, because both the design systems as well as the templates are both reusable across projects. And what happens with templates and design systems is a lot of people can get confused with that. So one of the things I want to talk about with the templates is they are reusable, and they can be either your own templates or Anthropic's templates. It doesn't matter. However, what's important as a beginner to understand is the design is really the style, the fonts, colors, whatever. And the template really is the layout, right? Does it have 2 images on the top, 2 images on the bottom, 3 images on the side, whatever it may be. So just keep this kind of distinction in mind as you're working through design systems and templates. In this video, we had a good introduction, and in the next video, we will go ahead and take a look at your first Claude Design project, which will be a prototype. So with all that being said, You know, if you're getting something out of these videos, always a huge appreciation for a thumbs up. And of course, you know, don't forget to turn on notifications and subscribe to let you know whenever any new videos actually come out. So with that being said, here are a couple of other videos that you might find interesting, and we'll see you in the next one where we create our first Claude Design project.